Hello and welcome to the ultimate guide to the Victory families and ranges with him, Martin Kidd.
And him, Chris George.
And in this video, we are going to be looking at the MK series. Now, the MK series is something a bit special, isn't it, Martin?
It is.
We're going to be breaking this video up actually into two different sections because the two different amplifiers within the MK series are completely different in terms of features. So we're starting with this one, which is the MK Clean in this beautiful color. And then in a little while, we'll be looking at the MK Overdrive. Before we start though, as I said, there's really two main products in the range, although there are variants in heads and combos as well, plus 1x12 and 2x12 and 2x10 combos. There's lots of different ways that you can have the MK. The bespoke nature of the MK series means that essentially there was no budget for you when designing this. So can you take us back to what the concept was when you started?
The concept was a hand-wired amplifier, no budget, which didn't mean I was going to go mad and look up the most expensive everything.
Still going to be realistic, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I like to do is work with known quantities, as it were. So if I know that this particular type of potentiometer that works really well and is very reliable, for decades, and then there's this one and it's 5 times the price and it's quite good, but some people get problems, then I won't opt for the dearer one just because because it costs more. I will go for the one that's going to be reliable because that's important.
Yes.
And if you want it to be a flagship product, then you don't want to make yourself look silly.
No.
So there was no budget restraint, but that didn't mean to say I was going to go mad, because you don't need to buy expensive things. They're not better. Sometimes they look nicer. Sometimes they're made in smaller batches, so they cost more. So you've got to take all of those things into consideration.
I would say this was the start of a new era for Victory because this was your own design and not a nod or an inspiration from anything else that had come before it, which was something I think you'd started to steer towards, but now definitely with the MK series, which kind of trickled down to spawn the MKX range and other things that you'll see coming from us in the future, you were able to just do a classic Martin Kidd design or two. So with the MK Clean, the idea obviously is you've just got a massive headroom amplifier, some quite basic features, but incredible clean tone. Where did you start, and what did you start thinking in terms of, the valves that you were going to use and the reverb that you were going to put in and stuff like that?
Oh, that's interesting. The reverb is a story I'll come to in a bit. In terms of valves, I thought with this kind of amplifier, people are likely to expect 6L6s, as with anything in the Victory range. There's always an alternative, so you can put 34s in it if you want. In terms of valves, I had an idea that, as with the Copper Deluxe, I would drive the reverb with a EF184, but it didn't seem very successful in this circuit. It's just driven with the 1287 ECC 81 now. There are 5, so there's one reverb driver, which is the 12AT, and then 5 12AX, 4 12AX or 3 12AX and 2 12ATs. Right. There's 5 preamp valves anyway.
Okay, yeah.
And then for 6R6s, they come fitted with as standard.
Yep.
So that's the valve complement.
Throwing out 100 watts of power, obviously.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, or thereabouts. Again, that normally these put out something in the order of 110 watts, but depends on the valve. Sometimes that might dip down below that 110. Oh, the reverb, yes. So we tried different tanks because I can't remember. I think the initial prototypes were a Belton or branded Belton. And we liked it. We were all quite happy, but we thought, well, we should experiment with, is there much difference between the Belton, what else was there? There was Accutronics, which is in there in the end. And we experimented, and they're all nice. None of them sounded bad at all. And but we liked the Accutronics the best. But we liked it to begin with, although we couldn't actually get it to behave itself properly and stably inside the unit. But we liked the Accutronics tank turned upside down, so the open side was facing the transformers and the valves.
Right.
Now, sat alongside the amplifier, sounded quite nice. Put it in the amplifier and it's unstable.
Of course.
And it's a nuisance.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really, and it was all to do with how the decay of it was affected.
Sure.
So we decided to approach that electronically, as it were, to try and achieve that same thing, but with the tank the right way up as it was supposed to be in the first place. So, but yeah, none of the reverbs sounded bad, but I was really quite surprised how different they. You know, I think you and I sat one day and went through about, I think four types. Yeah, 3 or 4 types. It's so hard to decide because it's really down to personal taste.
I was just going to say the same thing. Much like anything else, it's not about there being a bad one in the bunch. It's about what every individual person would choose. However, sometimes there's, a few more commonalities that, and that's why you tend to go with the one that you choose. But yeah.
That was it with this one. I think we thought the Accutronics suits this amplifier best.
Anything else to add on the MK Clean in terms of features or what you put into it?
Features. Well, we've got a voice switch, which again, that's one of those that allows more of the upper mids or lower treble frequencies through the treble control. So we put a bass shift.
Yep.
And it was probably. My thinking is why I put it in there, but other people may find different use for it. But I thought that sometimes this kind of may be difficult to record if the bass is a bit too boomy. So I just had something, so there was a switch, so you could change a few things. Yeah. To tighten up the bass. So that's why there's that. And then the bright switch is almost a mandatory.
Of course.
Thing on this kind of amplifier. Again, it's not a Fender circuit, but the EQ comes from off the first gain stage, so straight after the first gain stage comes off the anode through the tone stack. So from that point of view, some might argue it's a Fender or Dumble style architecture, but then the rest of it is interesting.
It's an incredible sounding amp. I would say, the features that you were just talking about, those extra features on the front panel, really cater for whatever you're putting into it in terms of pickup.
Well, indeed, yes. I mean, that was probably more the way most people were thinking that they would be of use. Yeah, those absolutely. Features. But the bass one, particularly for me, it might just help. Yeah. If you're on stage with it. Sometimes it just might make the sound man's life a little bit easier if you don't step on the, out of your designated territory.
Yes, absolutely.
Sonically,
Yeah.
so you're not in the bass guitar territory or the keyboard territory with the bass end of it so much.
Let's cut to the MK Overdrive and we'll talk about that. So we've just, as you can tell, switched to the MK Overdrive,
We have.
which is a completely different beast.
Entirely, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a completely different amplifier, still with the same brief as the MK Clean in terms of the best possible amplifier we could make with the greatest components and et cetera, et cetera. The MK Overdrive has 2 or 3 channels really, because you've got clean and then 2 different overdrives.
Yes.
Much like what we implemented into the MKX
Indeed,
on a smaller scale.
Yep.
EQ sections for the 2 channels, various other switches to make it sound just incredible. What was your inspiration for this, for the tone of this?
I don't know. I think I had an idea that there should be some very high gain lead tones if we wanted them, or some slightly smoother classic rock sounds. And then the same with the crunch. Sometimes you have a crunchy sound from an M-type amp, as it were, and it kind of spits at you. So I tried to include something like that. And then a more just rounded classic rock overdrive. And also a good clean channel that wasn't an afterthought.
Sure.
So, and I used the approach on here the same as I used on the MKX.
The valves in the MK Overdrive, are they the same as the MK Clean?
So in this MK Overdrive, there's 4 12AX7s in the preamp.
Right.
And I believe this is fitted with 6L6s, 4 6L6s in the output stage. But you can, if you want, you can put 6L6s or anything will fit. They're quite close together, so you probably couldn't get KT88s in there. But otherwise, you can fix KT77s or 6CA7s or something along those lines if you wanted to. There's enough scope on the bias to cope with that. Talking about what I had in mind, in the end I thought, well, how about we don't just have one overdrive or one lead sound, so we'll let people choose between, whether they want overall a brighter, more aggressive sound so there's a voice switch for the overdrive that enhances the upper mid-range. There's a bit more gain with it as well as a result of that. And then for the clean channel, again, it was really to see if I could cater for a range of guitars. So there's the voice switch on there is what I do with say with the Duchess. It just allows a greater treble range, so some of the lower treble frequencies come through the treble control if you want, just something that might be a bit more twangy or just on the edge of, slightly more broken up edge of clean.
Yes.
Then you can get that from here. 2 masters, but they're independently switchable. If you want them, you can assign them, so one for each channel.
Yeah.
And then each channel has its own presence and resonance.
Yes.
control. So those are dedicated to the channel.
To the channel itself, yeah.
Yeah, so you can, if you want just a bit more thump from your crunchy power chords, you can get it without having to have that on the clean channel sound, which you might not want. So that it's just, just to make it as versatile as possible. The presence control on the overdrive channel, that's our own design, so it can cut or boost the high frequencies in the power amp. The one on the clean channel is more conservative in terms of its, or more, I don't know if it's conservative, that's not perhaps the right word, but more traditional in its approach. It just boosts the top end.
So an incredibly versatile amplifier.
Yeah.
Like we could not squeeze any more into it. In terms of the tonal possibilities within the MK Overdrive, there's so much going on in
There's
there.
a lot. There's
really
a lot going on. Yes, indeed.
And we need to really talk about, as we said right at the beginning of this video, the range, the MK range. Obviously, they're the two different amplifiers in the MK range, two very different amplifiers. But they're, as well as 100-watt heads, we also now do them in 30-watt combos.
It's quite a generous 30 watts.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely. I remember you saying it's definitely more than 30 watts, but we've sort of pitched it around 30 watts.
Yeah.
1x12, 2x12s. The key thing we haven't yet spoken about in this video, though, is that all the MK stuff is custom order, and you can have it any color you want, which is why this looks the way this one does, completely different from the MK Clean that we were looking at. You go on the MK builder on our website, on the Victory website, and you can just start building your own MK. This is leather. This is not Tolex. This is proper leather that these are covered in by Muirhead, who are an incredible leather supplier. You can change the colors of the corners, the handle, the grill, the logo, the like we were saying, the actual leather covering. All the colors are on there, and you can design your own MK. That was the idea, that these would be bespoke to the people buying them. It's the best craftsmanship. Like Martin was saying, all of these are hand wired. It's the best that we can do, and really worth checking these out. Obviously, all made in the UK, as everything else from Victory is. Is there anything else to add on the MK series? I think we've covered most of it, haven't we?
I think we've covered most of it.
It's really our halo product, though, isn't it?
It is. I would say, though, when we say that the cosmetics are bespoke. So I wouldn't want to encourage.
It's a very good point, because nothing mechanically can be changed. No. But with something like the MK Overdrive, I don't know why you'd need to. Also, more recently, we should actually just touch on talking about the range. There is now an MK Standard, which is which is, if you want to go out and look, we understand that if you're, some of these can be a little bit. They might want to be sat at home rather than on gigs, but if you wanted more of a roadworthy finish to the MK series with just the sort of more generic Tolex that we do, the general black Victory look, you can get that. And that's at a slightly lower price as well, which are well worth checking out. That's the MK Standard series. So the MK series has become this sort of quite elaborate range all of a sudden, isn't it? With lots of variations. But
and that's not to say that this isn't roadworthy.
No, of course it
is.
That
it's quite expensive, and if
if a drummer gets near one of these, enough said.
Yeah.
For more information on the MK series, please head to the Victory website, where you can design your own. Go and have a play with it. It's an incredible tool on there. Have a look at all the different color options, and head to your local Victory dealer for more.